France has everything, not least a wider variety of tourist destinations and landscapes than any other country in Europe. Here you'll find mountains, lakes, great rivers, forests, and sandy beaches, from the Channel and the Atlantic coast right around to the French Riviera. Proper villages and ancient towns host world-class culture, from prehistoric cave art via the finest Roman ruins outside Italy to Renaissance chateaux and grandiose contemporary projects such as the Millau Viaduct. Thanks to its history, France crams pretty much the whole of Western Europe into one country. Planning a trip across the nation could take you from the Flemish far north, or pleasingly Germanic Alsace, with its half-timbering and Chaukraut, onto the Celts of Brittany, ending with the Spanish and Italian influences that curve up around the Mediterranean. Bewitching is the word, and that's before we tackle some of the planet's finest food and wine. No other nation has such civilized practices associated with eating and drinking. The evidence? Take a seaside terrace table, perhaps on the Côte d'Azur, order a grilled John Dory and a bottle of rosé, survey the sunlit scene, and what more could you need? Culture seekers might start in Paris with the Eiffel Tower, Europe's greatest célèbre monument, famous mainly for being famous. Elsewhere, from the Louvre to the Arc de Triomphe, Les Invalides, Sacré-Cœur, and countless fine bridges, the French capital is uplifted by institutions and monuments testifying to the nation's image of its grandeur. Meanwhile, the most sublime Parisian monument may be the Saint-Chapelle, where the stained glass windows compensate for the current inaccessibility of nearby Notre Dame. Tougher medieval castles were necessary further south, where the Dordogne was long disputed between the French and the English. Subsequently bypassed by national life, the region has stayed rustic and untouched. Villages and towns such as Sarlat probably look better now than they ever did before. It's a place to lead a tranquil, well-fed life, and remains remote. Next up, the lavender fields of Provence. This region abounds in culture, from Roman amphitheaters to the legacies of great modern artists, drawn there by the light and insouciant morality, but is also one of Europe's greatest playgrounds. Switch culture for nature and bound about hiking, biking, climbing, gliding, riding, tubing, canyoning, and rafting down the Roya Valley. If you are an international A-lister, real or wannabe, then try the Riviera, retreat of the rich and celebrated for 200 years. Surprisingly, stays are reasonable around Nice and Cannes. Expect to pay no more than you pay in Torquay. If money isn't an issue, then try the Palace Hotels. If you need to ask the price, then you're in the wrong place. The region also has opulent rental villas, where you can swan around for many thousands of euros a week. That said, the smarter French set often abjures the Riviera these days for less spangly spots on the Atlantic coast. The islands of Ré, Oléron, or Noirmoutier, or the Cap Ferret Peninsula, where luxury and living it up are more discreet. Beyond the towns, France's great strength is the Chateau Hotel. Naturally, Paris and all of France's main cities have their share of lavish accommodations, though again, also offer hotels affordable for the average city breaker. Some of these will be family-run establishments, and others are usually efficient chain hotels. Beyond the towns, in say, the Loire Valley, Dordogne, or Normandy, France's great strength is the Chateau Hotel. Built for fighting and later for leisure, these chateaux can now corset any aspirations of the aristocracy for as long as your money holds out. Meanwhile, France remains the European champion of camping, with more sites than anywhere in the world, bar the US. The top dog is Argelès-sur-Mer on the Roussillon coast. The small seaside resort has 54 campsites. In recent times, most French sites have grown much more swish, as have many chambres d'hôtes, France's other significant gift to holiday accommodation. These are B&Bs, but without the down-market overtones. The best chambered hôtes mix conviviality with a class that would cost you double in a hotel. The Auvergne. Here, where France rises to the massive central mountains, you can reverse out of the 21st century into green uplands of lakes, sleeping volcanoes, wildflowers, sloping pastures heavy with sheep and sailors' cattle, and folk who define themselves by farming. But first, you'll need to get a grip on the volcanoes by riding the rack railway to the 4,800 feet summit of the Puy-de-Dôme. Dominant, conical, soft-sided, as a volcano should be. Some 80 other volcanoes line up roughly north-south. The Volcania theme park has the story and will throw you about in a simulated eruption. Anytime, depending on what you want to do. Spring is, all around, the finest of times. Warm, alive with the color of flowers and life reawakening, but in the south especially, without the searing heat that melts tarmac and sometimes inconveniences those from more northerly climes. Summer has its charms too, with everything in full gear, especially around the coast. Autumn too is lovely for its new season wines and the bounty that comes with harvest. And winter for skiing, obviously, but also city breaks.